Erin Farrell. I am the sales director here at Saratoga Retirement Community. I've been the sales director here for almost 9 years. I've worked in senior living for about 12 years. I have volunteered prior to that in skilled nursing for about 20 years. So I have a lot of experience in senior living. Um, I really love being the sales director here at Saratoga Retirement Community. We're a wonderful nonprofit campus owned by the Odd Fellows. And today we have with us Brian Schwatka. I call him a brother from another mother. He's a dear friend. I've known him since I started here at Saratoga Retirement Community. He's a trusted, valued uh, friend and realtor, a transition specialist. Um, and we are going to be going over a very hot topic today, in-home care versus retirement living communities. So, Brian?
Hi, Erin. Thanks for having me. Thanks, everybody, for being here. All you proactive homeowners out there making things happen, not waiting for things to happen. My name's Brian Schwatka. I'm a Realtor and Transition Specialist with Keller Williams Bay Area Estates in Los Gatos and in Saratoga. And I've been a Realtor and Transition Specialist for 20 years. This year is my 20-year anniversary, so I'm getting old. Doing one thing for a long time. All I do, 100% of my business is getting retirees to retirement communities all over the Bay Area. And so I've been doing just one thing for all that amount of time. And the way I got into that actually was one of my first clients, Mr. Thomas Sakamoto. He was a decorated war hero. He was the translator between the United States and Japan. Very intelligent guy, super, just very investigative and everything. And he invited me over to his home, and I went over, and he said, "Hey, I've been waiting for you. I just put $100,000 into my home, getting it ready to go on the market." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what did you do for $100,000?" And he showed me his kitchen and his two bathrooms, and unfortunately, it was tile and grout and linoleum, and he got predatorized by, I mean, there's so much elder abuse out there going on. And so I'm an advocate for that, and I want to help retirees make the best decisions for their future, whether they're staying or whether they're going. And I don't care if you stay or whether you go, as long as those decisions are right. So that's me in a nutshell. And the whole transition specialist thing, I made that up. There was nothing out there called transition specialist, and that's what I was doing. And so I wear a lot of different hats, but there's three stages of your transition. There's that first stage where you're like, I wonder if I should stay in my home with in-home care or transition to a retirement community. So you're just kind of wondering, and so what we do there is we go into the Stay or Go workbook, and you can do this on your own or we can do it together, and you evaluate yourself. You got to know where you stand in the areas of your home ownership. So where are you in your finances? Where are you in your health? Where are you in your support network of the people who are ready, willing, and able to help you age? And also your taxes and your estate planning and all that kind of thing, and then your real estate. And so we go through and you evaluate yourself and you score yourself and you see where you're strong and where you're weak. And then you do an exercise called the postcard from the future, where you're envisioning how you want your life to play out in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And so once we have where you are and where you see yourself in the future, we can start putting that puzzle together, and I can help you do that. And that's what I've been doing for 20 years. So now we know, okay, I might want to go. Now I have to put on my teacher's hat, and I have to teach you the differences between staying in your home and aging in place and moving to a retirement community. And we do that through webinars, and I'm really glad you're here. You guys are being really proactive and you're learning, because the way to keep you out of stress is educating you. When you know exactly what's going to happen next, it's much more of a calm thing. So then I have to put my travel agent hat on. Which community are you going to? And then where are you going? Are you going to follow the kids? Are you going to, well, don't follow the kids. Make sure you don't follow the kids, because of the fact that the kids go somewhere, then you follow them and they're not done going somewhere, and then they go somewhere else and then you're stuck there. So I've got plenty of stories about that. But do you want to stay here? Do you want to go out of the area? There's all sorts of things to be thinking about and learning about. And if you really are going to a retirement community and that's your choice, then I have to put on my Sherpa hat because I've been to the top of Everest hundreds and hundreds of times. And it's not just your typical real estate transaction. There's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of different people, there's a lot of timing that really has to happen exactly correctly. And then once you know where you're going and that's all buttoned up, now I have to put on my pilot's hat and I have to get you there. And that's putting together a flight plan, and that's the flight plans all spelled out in this 50-page book. That's me in a nutshell. And these are the educational webinars that we use to help you make these good decisions. We've already done 3 of them. The first one was how it all works. From the time you make your decision till the time you make your transition, everything that's going on in those 4 stages at the community and at your home. And that's the pre-transition guide, which is the how it all works. That's brand new, just finished it last week. It's 35 pages of my brain. Could turn into a book someday. And then we already did the should I stay or should I go, where we went through the workbook together, the stay or go workbook together. And last month we did the myths of retirement living. Erin and I dispelled all of those myths and we told you why it's not what you think it is. Another little story, on the last webinar we had, I said something about it's a cruise ship on land. And I got an email from somebody that said, hey, I wouldn't want to be stuck on a cruise ship for the rest of my life. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to stop using that. And now we use the all-inclusive resort. Much better. So we did that. And today we're going to do the differences between in-home care and retirement living community. And even though we've taught you all these 4 webinars, you're still going to be on the fence. You're still going to be 50%. Should I stay? Should I go? You've got the paralysis of analysis. So we're going to teach you how to get out of that. Once you're done with that, and this all goes through the whole year, then it's your homework. What do you do between the time you put your name on the waiting list and the time you place your 10% deposit? And then when the rubber hits the road, how to sell your home with the flight plan of your homework between the time you place that 10% deposit and the time you move in. So stay tuned for those. Those are really good webinars. No expectations on our part. We're just trying to educate you. This is a website full of education. It just asks you, which homeowner are you? I might want to go. Where would I go? I'm ready to go. And then just go there. Lots of great stuff there. But now all that probably sounded a little overwhelming, and I don't want to overwhelm you. There are a lot of things to do. It's not easy, but it's not difficult either if you got the right team with you. And so I want to boil it down to 2 things. You have really only 2 options, really. It's either staying or going. And I've heard all sorts of different creative ideas of ways to stay. And I think 97% of people really want to stay in their homes, and that's totally great. And I'm all for that. You're going to age in place with in-home care services. And there's lots of different options you have. You can either, stay in your current home. You can downsize to a safer home that's maybe 1 story, not 5 bedrooms, 3-car garage with a pool in the backyard. You might want to transition to a remodeled home, because one of the most stressful things in life is to remodel your home. So maybe you just want to trade your home in for another home. Maybe you want to relocate out of the area. Don't follow the kids. You might want to relocate to your vacation home or your rental home, or live with the kids, or have the kids live with you. There's all sorts of creative ideas I've heard. And then the other option is you get your care at a continuing care retirement community, or a CCRC. So really you only have those 2 options. And so we're going to talk about those 2 options. We're going to tell you the difference between in-home care and CCRC. What are they? A little simplistic, but some people don't know. What do they cost? What are the pros and cons of each? And we're going to try and stay as neutral as possible. We don't want you thinking, oh, we want you to come to the retirement community because we're going to talk bad about in-home care services. We're just going to be realistic, non-biased. We don't care if you stay, whether you go. And then we're also going to give you some words of wisdom. Erin and I have been doing this for a combined 50 years, so we kind of know what we're talking about. So let me just tell you really in a nutshell what in-home care services are. It's simply just care in your home, paid by the hour, a la carte. I need a little bit of time on Tuesday. I need 3 hours on Thursday. Come make me some meals. It's just non-medical care. It's not that expensive if you don't use it that much. But once you cross the red line, and you're going to see that red line in this presentation a few times, that's the red line we don't want you to cross, because then your options run out and things get more expensive. And if you do cross that line, you're going to need assistance, like maybe medical assistance, maybe skilled nursing, maybe memory care. Those get really expensive very quickly. And this is a huge industry, just huge industry. $470 billion in a year of in-home care. And there's a lot of baby boomers out there turning 65. I think 10,000 people are turning 65 every year for the next 20 years. There was a lot of us baby boomers. I'm a baby boomer just by 1 year. So that's what it is. Now, the non medical care we're talking about is like shopping and errands and housekeeping and some meal prep and some supervision and some companionship and maybe light medical type of stuff. And it's great. And I think this is the most valuable service in America right now because people need the help. Maybe they can't afford, or maybe they're too young to go to a retirement community, and maybe they do need these services and they don't want to burden their kids and they don't have people who are ready, willing, and able to help them. So these services are wonderful to have available. In fact, even the retirement communities use some of these service companies as well to add on to their staff when they need to. So we're not against it whatsoever. But here's the red line again. When you need help with more and more of your ADLs, the activities of daily living, that's where insurance companies and in-home care service companies and retirement living communities, that's how they kind of judge where you are at on the scale of, am I independent? How independent? Am I getting towards assisted living? Okay, now I'm in assisted living. I've crossed the line. Now I need more assistance. It's going to cost me more. And we'll talk later in the presentation about waiting too long and how you are going to, it's going to really limit your options. Okay. So the different types of caregivers out there are, of course, your friends and family and neighbors, people who are ready, willing, and able to help you. But it's a burden. Okay. And being a caregiver is physically demanding. I've heard stories where the caregiver passes away before the person they're even taking care of. And Erin knows about, in-home care and taking care of people. It's exhausting and it's overwhelming and it's a large burden. And a lot of us don't want to be a burden to our kids. So we go out and we sort of, maybe hire somebody. Maybe somebody that has a maid or somebody that comes in and helps them, and maybe you split the cost with them and they come in, or maybe you go on Craigslist. But I mean, I don't even want to buy and sell anything on Craigslist, let alone have someone coming into my house on a full-time basis, right? So these are kind of scary things. And there's also these referral agencies out there that all they really do is just hook you up with a caregiver. So they're not even really doing anything. So those aren't the greatest options in the world. If you are going to go to a licensed in-home care agency, go to a full service licensed in-home care agency, because then you're going to be less stressed, right? These people will locate the people, they'll do background checks on them. They'll train the caregivers. They're licensed, bonded, and insured. They pay all the taxes. They pay the workers' comp and all the HR issues and all the disputes and all the training. There's a lot goes into all of that, and you're not going to get from a private hire or some agency who's not a full service agency. And if that caregiver can't make it to your home, they have a pool of other caregivers to supply you. And you just can't get that with a private hire or referral agency. So please be careful and go with a full service and interview them. And then I'm going to give you some questions at the end of the presentation of questions you can ask them to make sure you're getting the right person. All right, so that's the in-home care industry. We're going to talk a little bit more about it, but that's in a nutshell what it is, how it works, kind of thing. Now I want to hand this back to Erin because she's the pro at telling people what a life plan community is, or a continuing care retirement community. So Erin, I'm going to let you tell them about the continuity of care.
Okay, thank you, Brian. So, a big alternative, what a lot of people decide to do is move to a life plan community, continuing care retirement community. They're two interchangeable terms, basically meaning the same thing. It is my full intention to move to a life plan community myself. What I'm looking for is independent living for, you know, ourselves when we're independent. You know, we're doing all the things that we enjoy doing in our own homes today, but we're enjoying a community environment where there are enriching activities. things to do, uh, lecturers, there are trips to go on, classes, numerous classes to take. At these communities in independent living, so many people come to me to tell me, I've learned this new skill. I've taken this new class. I had no idea that I'd be good at XYZ. And so at these communities, and you grow as a person, because it's very similar to a college campus, a gorgeous college campus where you're not being graded. um, there's the food is beautiful. It's just a great environment in independent living. And assisted living, and so people come into independent living, uh, they know that they're going to pay that entrance fee, but they're going to get the continuum of care that's going to be guaranteed to them. When we make this move, the assisted living, the skilled nursing, the memory support, we want to be independent forever. We don't ever want to need those services, but we're smart enough to know that we may. And if that happens, we've set ourselves up for success, because by belonging to a campus like this, we have full guaranteed access to those higher level of care services if and when we ever need them. They're for us. We are the priority when we become continuing care retirement community residents. So that's why people choose a campus like this. They're at one point, our homes can only offer us so much. At one point we realize, our neighborhoods have changed. We've retired. We're not getting the stimuli we would get when we were working. Um, we want to be around people. We want to learn and grow and be bigger. That can happen for you at a campus like Saratoga. So that's kind of what a life plan community is. It is kind of like a cruise ship on land, but if you don't like a cruise ship, I think I liken it very much to a college-like atmosphere. It's really a fantastic place to grow and learn as a human being.
Okay. So on the slide here, continuity of care is the main thing, is that you're
Mhm.
going to transition through independent living,
Yep,
through assisted living,
yep.
skilled nursing if you need it
Hmm.
for free, memory care on site, on
Yep.
campus. Now that's huge because not all continuing care retirement communities are true continuing care retirement communities, because they
That's
outsource their skilled nursing, or
Yeah.
maybe they have only a few beds in memory care. And
Mhm.
so we don't want you jumping from community to community, this boutique community, this one that specializes in this or that. The true value is the fact that you have this continuity of care that's going to reduce your stress, and then you're not going to have to worry about moving ever again. You can live at an adventure community, living the best chapter of your life, going through the system. So that's the huge part of that, is the continuing care. And if you think about it, there's probably, I'd say 25 communities in Santa Clara County that call themselves CCRCs, but the true CCRCs, there's only about 5 of them. If you want those services on campus and have that continuity of care to where you're not have to worry about anything, and if your health with your co-spouse, whatever, if you vary in your health, you don't have to leave the campus. One of you is going to go to one part of the campus, another goes to another part of the campus, but you're still going to be on that small campus in close proximity and doing all of the things together. And that's very difficult to find out there in the real world, and as far as compared to in-home care services as well. So anyway, so sorry to
Yeah,
jump
no,
in there, Erin.
no, it's so true. I mean, there are many campuses that don't offer skilled nursing, and the value of so we have a couple of families on our wait list whose parents have either lived here or currently live here, because those adult children have seen the value in their lives of having their parents' needs wholly met. You know, if you're living at a campus like Saratoga and you are in independent living, you end up needing assisted living, you end up needing skilled nursing, memory support, whatever the case may be. The gift that is to your kids is invaluable. Your kids will be able to visit you on these, in this campus, and know that, and they'll be able to enjoy you. They're not working, they're not fixing things, they're not figuring out, is the caregiver going to show up, or is it, the caregiver's not showing up? What are we going to do? Those kids are unburdened. They can enjoy you and their relationships with you, and they 100% see the value in this. It is a peace of mind that you can't really get in any other situation that I know of.
Right. And here are some things that you don't usually get in your home. On-site restaurant, fitness and aquatic center. Some of you might have a bocce ball court or a koi pond or a rose garden, but you know, your monthly fee isn't just for the care. Your monthly fee is also your new lifestyle and your new community and your new friends and your new neighbors and all of these things that are included in an all-inclusive resort. So anyway, you can look through these. You can talk to Erin about these. They're on the website. They're in her brochures. But think about these things, and don't think about the let's say the fourth quarter of your life as, oh well, it's my fourth quarter of my life. This is the first quarter of the best part of your life, and you should really be, you've worked hard for all these years and all the equity in your home, and you've taken care of the kids, and you've done this and you've done that, and you've taken care of your health and all of that, and now it's time to go on vacation. And so anyway, it's just something to think about, that people think, well, I'm going out feet first, I'm not leaving this house, I love my house, I love my neighbors, I love my church, I love all these things, so I don't want to go anywhere, and I'm not social. And there's all sorts of different things that we covered in the webinar called The Myths of Retirement Living. And but this is the time for you. It's time to be thinking about yourself and how hard you've worked, that you deserve this. So anyway,
Yeah.
all right. So now we know what they are. Now, what do they cost? Because I'm sure you're probably thinking that a retirement community is more expensive than in-home care, because you think to yourself, well, I've paid off my mortgage, and I've got a handyman and a groundskeeper and a house cleaner, and so it's not really costing me anything to live in my home, and it's going to be very expensive at the retirement community. And we want to dispel that myth as well, because in-home care isn't as inexpensive as we might think if you cross that red line. Okay, so what are the costs of each? What's the cost of aging in place with in-home care services or going to a retirement community? So the costs per hour for in-home care services is about $45 an hour now. And I remember, not even like pre-COVID, it was like $25 to $27 an hour. And these prices are going up, and we'll tell you why they're going up in a little bit later in the presentation. But at $45 an hour, if you needed a caregiver, just one caregiver for 6 hours a day, that would cost you 90 grand a year. Just for 6 hours a day for somebody to come give you some non-medical assistance. Okay. Now, there is the red line. If you're even getting in-home care 6 hours per day, every day, you're very close to that, crossing the red line over into you are needing assisted living. And you don't want to wait too long to go to assisted living. Now, look at the cost here if you needed round-the-clock care, 24 hours a day, $362,000 a year. And no one's planning on this happening. Everybody's like, well, I'm pretty healthy, and I come from a healthy line of people, and I've exercised and I eat right, but anything could happen. And at $362,000 a year, you could burn through your savings in 2 or 3 years, and you could easily pay for the buy-in at the retirement community after 2 years of paying $362,000 a year. So you can see that, yeah, it's affordable up to a certain point. There's that red line breaking area, right? And in addition to these prices, if you need skilled nursing or if you need memory care, it's going to get much more expensive per hour. If you have a larger person in your home who needs to move and be moved, you're going to have to pay for 2 caregivers, so the price would go up twice, and you might be paying for overtime. And you're still going to be paying, well, if you do have a mortgage, you're going to be paying a mortgage or, a home equity line of credit. But if you don't, you still got the maintenance, the upgrades, the property taxes, the homeowners insurance, which is going up drastically every month, it seems. Your utilities, your food, your entertainment, your security, all of that stuff is paid for. in your entrance fee, I'm sorry, in your monthly fee at the retirement community. So this is usually a pretty shocking slide for people to see. They didn't realize, what if I need more than, than the red line? What if I do need more assistance, right? So this slide is independent living. Okay, we didn't put the entrance fees on here because they vary so much, right? And they go, from year to year, they're going to change, obviously. But we do have this year's monthly fee for the different apartments and the yearly amounts. And you'll see even the two-bedroom cottage, a yearly amount, and this includes your care, 143,000 compared to 362,000 or 181,000 or whatever. It's not that, whoops, independent living is not that expensive in the long run in the overall picture. And it's more consistent as well, right? You're not gambling, you're not wondering, you're going in the most safe, predictable path you can go on. So, Erin, do you want to add to this slide as far as the differences between in-home care and, I don't know, this is your slide to talk about the costs, and I also have another slide after this, which is the assisted living monthly fee as well. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in-home care, the horror stories that we hear about in-home care, it's a bit of a desperate situation. It's becoming more and more desperate for families trying to manage it. Um, so I used to get calls. I used to educate people, or thought I was educating them about the difference in the cost of moving to an assisted living or continuing care retirement community versus paying in-home care. And now, these days, really for the last 2 years, families will call and say, "Hi, you don't even need to tell me. I already know it would be less expensive to move to one of these places than try and get in-home care." So I think that a lot of people have educated themselves. I think a lot of people who are considering retirement communities are doing so because their friends are having a horrible time trying to deal with juggling caregivers. It's never like they show you in the commercials, I mean, people don't show up. They don't, it's, nobody's watching these people once they're in your home. Um, they don't perform the same services we all think that they will. So it's just a different type of uh, scenario than we think it would be. And once people seem to realize that, they pick up the phone and start wanting to tour some of these places. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely less expensive to belong to a campus like Saratoga. Um, at a certain point, as you can see with your next slide. I mean, there's a tipping point when it just becomes more expensive to have these people coming in your home, and it's not even a program that you're really getting in your home. You're getting one or two people, you're paying them hourly. One thing I should tell you, and you can call caregiving agencies, they'll tell you. One big surprise is when you try and hire one of these caregivers and you need help being lifted in any way, they might tell you, the agency might tell you, "Oh no, you actually need two caregivers per hour because our caregiver's not going to lift you alone. They need a second person to help lift because these agencies aren't going to want to take on the liability of an employee being injured when they're trying to lift you." So that doubles the cost per hour. I only found out about that from a woman who called me kind of hysterical, needing a better situation for her husband because she didn't realize that she was going to have to pay $100 an hour basically for caregivers, on a 24-hour basis. It's just astronomical. So these are just some things to consider.
Here's another thing I was just thinking about while we were talking is that these costs, you see the costs and you see the cost of a retirement community. But if you're in your home, and a lot of us are house rich, cash poor. So we've got this home that's worth 3 million, 4 million, $5 million, but we're almost kind of broke because all of our money is in the floor of the house and we can't access those funds. And so even if you said, well, I'm going to stay and have in-home care in my home, you might not have the funds available, $200,000, $300,000 to be paying this. And this is added on top of your cash flow, and you might turn from cash flow positive or cash flow neutral to cash flow negative, and you're going to start going through investments and portfolios and paying capital gains taxes. Whereas if you were to sell your home, I'm not saying you should, I'm not saying I should put the sign in your lawn or anything, we're just talking here. Um, when you do sell your home, you're now a millionaire. So you can now afford the care. And I'm not saying that the care costs at a retirement community are going to be the same throughout the entire time you're there. Those prices are going to go up, but you're going to be able to afford that because of the fact that you cashed out of your home and now you have those funds available to pay the extra fee. Don't want you. The number one goal in life is to not outlive your funds. That's why we don't want to gamble with our nest egg. And so if you're living in your home that's worth $4 million and you can't afford to pay the in-home care costs, then you've waited too long and now you need assisted living. Now your options are dwindled and now it's going to be more difficult to get into the retirement community. So long story short, keep in mind, number one goal, not outlive our funds. So let's go on here as far as how do you pay for in-home care. Now, you could pay out of pocket. Like I said, if you have those funds, great. You might have some long-term care insurance that can kick in when you need skilled nursing, rehab, or memory care. You can get Medicare to pay for some of it until your rehab is over, and usually your rehab lasts longer than they say it's going to last. And so that'll help. There's veterans associations that can help you. You can get a reverse mortgage and get rid of your actual mortgage. You'll pay off that mortgage. Or you can get a lump sum of money that's about $300,000 based on the equity that you have in your home. But then again, if you're needing round the clock care, you're going to go through that in 1 year. So you have to be very careful with how you are paying for these funds. But the funds, or the care, I should say, those costs of care are included in your monthly fee at the assisted living community, right? So instead of forking out unpredictably, right? I need a lot now and I don't need a lot, and are they there for me? This is a more predictable way of doing it when you're at a retirement community, and the insurance paperwork for like long-term care insurance or Medicare, it's horrendous. It's not easy. It's hard enough to fill out a questionnaire online, let alone manage all of the paperwork that comes with trying to get reimbursed from a long-term care claim. So, Erin, you have people there, right, at the community that can help them with the paperwork?
We do, and I'll tell you, that is such a gift, really. It's these long-term care companies, they never intended any of us to live as long as we're living, and they will do everything they can not to pay that, not to deny that claim, and Saratoga Retirement Community and in campuses like Saratoga Retirement Community, we know the game. They want 10 pieces of paper to prove that you need that reimbursement. We can give it to them. They want 20, we'll give them 20. We'll just keep throwing that paper at them until they go ahead and do the right thing and get you guys that reimbursement. So we know how to work with them and give them the everything that they need in order to make sure that your benefits are being paid back to you.
Yeah. Lots of services. They're there for you. It's not
Yeah.
like you're isolated and you need to call an in-home care service for every little thing. There's all sorts of staff there at the community that's their responsibility and they're good at it. And it's the same staff years and years and years. They have a very high retention level at the communities because it's a more safe place to work, right? And they get to know the people and they feel a purpose and they're part of a team and part of an organization. So anyway, okay. Enough said there. Let's go on. Now we know what they are, we know what their costs are. Let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of each. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to stay neutral, but I've been hearing things from people in the last 20 years of the good things about staying in your home and the good things about going to a retirement community. But you get a different answer from the people who are in their home as compared to the people that are at the community. So the number one thing I hear from people who are staying in their home is they're like, yay, I don't have to downsize, right? Because everybody hates downsizing. And when you go to the retirement community, you say, what's the pro of living here in regards to downsizing? They'll say, well, I already did all my downsizing, got out of my home, moved into a smaller home, and I don't have a bunch of stuff anymore. So it's different perspective, right? They're both pros. It's just a different way of answering the question. So some they say, well, I didn't have to move. And then at the community, they say, I made my last move ever. I don't have to move ever again. So it's one less thing and one a different perspective. And the person in home, they say, well, I don't have a mortgage, so it's free to live here. And the pros of living at the retirement community, they say, I sold my house and now I'm rich. Right? So I don't have a mortgage is great, but I'm rich is even a little bit better, I think. And so, they say when they're in their home, my house just keeps appreciating in value. And then at the retirement community, they say, well, I'm not tied to all the real estate fluctuations of my house going up 20% and down 20%, and I have to stay there for 7 years till it comes back. Both pros, right? My friends and family will help me in my home, and my friends and family will come visit me in my home. Well, at the community, it's my friends and family are unburdened, and I'm meeting new people, I'm meeting like-minded people, both pros. My caregiver cooks for me in my home. Well, at the community, our chef prepares healthy meals daily. My caregiver drives me to the doctor. Well, we have free medical transportation at the community. At home, my caregiver spends time with me. At the community, we have groups and events and health clubs and entertainment and social activities, right? Both positive, different perspective. And the last thing I always hear is I get to keep my independence when I live in my home, right? I'm an independent person, I can do this. Well, at the community, you're still independent. You do whatever you want, whenever you want, but you have help readily available, right? You're not waiting, well, they don't come till Tuesdays and Thursdays. Whenever you need anything, it's an all-inclusive resort, right? So you have people there ready, willing, and able to help you, and you don't have to worry about things. All right. So I know that sounded biased, but it wasn't. All of those things on the left are all great things. It's just different. All right. So now here's the cons. Here's the bad part. I have to be non-biased. When you're in your home and you're getting in-home care services, those costs are going to increase as the level of care increases. At the retirement community, it's the same thing. Okay. Your costs increase as your level of care increases. Okay. So it's just black and white. Everything's more expensive nowadays, and it's just going to keep going up from here. Now, at home, you're going to have to make your home safer, okay? And you may be house rich, cash poor. You may still be doing the maintenance and the repairs and the upgrades. You could outlive your funds, but you do have to make your home safer, and I hope you can afford that. And if you can't afford that, I can help you with some creative financing to where you can make your home safer, okay? But it is something you have to do. Now, also, the cons of a retirement community, the cost of the lifetime care contract, that buy-in, that entrance fee. And you might think, well, that's terrible. That's a lot of money. But what you're doing is you're buying a lifetime care contract where you can spend the rest of your life there, even if you outlive your funds. And Erin can tell you about the benevolence fund, but that buy-in buys you the peace of mind knowing that you're not going to get kicked out if you can't pay your monthly fee. Okay. And the wait list is long at the retirement communities. It's long because of a reason. It's because more people are wanting to go to these retirement communities. And that whole red line thing, you've got to make a decision 2 to 3 years before you hit the red line, because there's a 2 to 3 year waiting list to get into the retirement community. So you can't say, oh, I hit the red line, I need to get on the waiting list. That's 2 years to 3 years too late. So you need to be thinking ahead, get on that waiting list. As far as aging in place within home care, we've heard isolation, depression, cognitive decline, solitary confinement. There are factual data out there that says that this happens when you're isolated. Now, I'm not saying you're all going to be isolated. You may live in your home within home care services and have plenty of people coming to take care of you and visit you and all those things, but something you just need to think about. Um, at the retirement community, I've heard that meeting new people can be intimidating, kind of like the first day of college, the first day of high school. I don't know who am I going to sit with at dinner, and I don't know anyone. They've got it under control. They give you a resident buddy when you move in and they acclimate you to the community. And I've heard that once you move to the retirement community, you're actually twice as busy as you were before because you're going to dinner and everybody's inviting you and they all want to meet you and interview you. And but yes, that can be intimidating, so it can be a con. In-home care, the con of in-home care, the security, the privacy, the trust concerns. You don't know what's going on. I thought I left something on the dresser and now it's not there. Now it's kind of weird. Um, at the retirement community, a con is you might not like it. You might want to think, I might change my mind. What if I change my mind? How do I get out? How do I reverse that decision? So yeah, I understand that. But living on a cruise ship on land or an all-inclusive report, I haven't heard a lot of reports of people saying, I really don't like all this love and affection and attention and social and all that kind of great stuff and all these people that want to meet me. So that one doesn't come up very often. So living at home, in home care, the con is when things happen in the middle of the night or whatever, they're scarier, when you're far from professional help. At the community, you're not far from professional help. You live, it's like condos built around a hospital. Friends and family are still burdened at home. The in-home care industry is overloaded. The in-home care industry has high turnover rates. In fact, the overload comes in the fact that the in-home care industry is one of the fastest growing industries or franchises in the United States today. The demand is huge. It's just overwhelmed by baby boomers and post-COVID kind of fears. There's a shortage of qualified workers. They're not out there because they need so many. The industry has grown so drastically and so fast that they can't keep up with them and they can't train these people. They're maybe giving them a week or two of training and then they're out there doing their job, as opposed to a retirement community where they're hiring already qualified people who want a higher paying job with more stability. And they are trained, and the community has these training courses. The lack of supervision, there's no consistency. That's the main thing, is when you call, are you going to get somebody? And is it going to be the same person every time? And just because you sign a contract with them that says, I need help, that doesn't mean that they guarantee that help. They're going to do the best they can. But I would imagine they'd be going after the bigger fish, the ones that need the 24-hour care, not the a la carte, I need you on Tuesday and Thursday kind of thing. You don't know what kind of attention you're going to get. And oh, we couldn't make it out that day because we're servicing the big fish over here.
Can I
So,
just interrupt you
oh,
on
please
that
do.
one? Another thing, licensed retirement communities, we do work with some agencies. So we work with the best. So the very best caregivers are going to be going to these communities and, to us because we're their bread and butter. They want to really impress us. They know that we're watching their caregivers. See the difference between having a caregiver in your home outside of a campus and having a caregiver when you're here on a campus, their eyes on that caregiver. We make sure we have their Department of Justice certification. We make sure we know who these people are, and we're carefully observing and checking in with you to make sure your needs are being met. So these agencies are gonna send us the very best. And to your point, Brian, I have one of my best friends is going unfortunately through this with her mom, and it's caregiver after caregiver after caregiver, different one every day. Maybe some days they can't even fulfill the shift. It's tough, and these agencies are struggling to find people who want to do this.
Yeah.
There's a huge shortage, and please, all of you, feel free to look this up. Feel free to Google this. It's the caregiver shortage. It's actually Congress is talking about it. It's definitely something that's a concern, but campuses like Saratoga, We don't have that concern. We have one of the highest employee retention rates in the country. People come to work here and they love working here. So, if somebody calls off sick, we have plenty of other people to come in right behind them so that our residents' needs are always met. Our residents never have to worry about that.
Right.
It's complete peace of mind for them. So, anyway, just wanted to throw that in there.
That's a good one. The turnover is crazy too. I got these right off the web. The turnover rate is anywhere from 40 to 65%. The average tenure of a caregiver is less than 1 year, and they're doing overtime, 12-hour shifts, and they get this caregiver burnout, because they're traveling and then they're going to different types of homes and different types of situations. 50% of the time, the clients are being turned away because they actually just don't have the caregivers. And these caregivers are now shifting out of being a caregiver, because you can get paid almost just as much at Burger King. They don't get paid all that much. And so the turnover rate is a really big problem in the in-home care industry. And these prices are going to go up because the supply and demand, right? If there's not a lot of something, those somethings are going to cost a lot extra. The same with housing right now. There's not a lot of homes on the market. And the homes that are on the market are selling for a tremendous amount of money because there's nothing to pick from. So it's a supply and demand thing. So, all right. So now you know what they are. You know what they cost. You know the pros and cons. We tried to be as nice and as neutral as we could, but it's plain and simple and it's black and white. And it is a worldwide problem. This is taking care of people. So if you can make a better decision and not be gambling, that's all the best. So let me just talk a little bit about some words of wisdom as we close. The one thing near and dear to my heart is seniors with memory issues. So memory support. We don't know when it's coming, and we know it's getting larger. We don't know why. We don't know how to solve it. But when a person, homeowner, whatever, a person has memory issues, the number one thing they need is consistency, right? In their care, in the people that are around them, in their environment, they need that consistency. And they need skilled caregivers, not just me. I took a class and read a book, and now I can take care of somebody with memory care issues. There's no way. You have to be trained, and you have to be skilled. And so it's very hard to find those people. And there's also hidden costs, right? If you need the 24-hour support, or you need to make your home more secure. And with memory issues, you're going to need to make your home more secure than if you were just trying to not fall. You have to worry about the stove being left on, and the person walking out the front door and forgetting where they live. And so there's all sorts of added costs in getting your home ready to take care of somebody with memory issues. And we want you to do this sooner than later because you want to move to a retirement community before any diagnosis has happened so you can get in the independent living front door. In addition to that, a, a continuing care retirement community is better for both people, both the person with the memory care issues who is getting the proper care and the consistency that they need, but also for the spouse, they're getting a respite because they have a built-in community of people that can support them, and there's activities so that they'll live longer and they'll be more stimulated and they'll be more happy. And you can't get that at home with somebody who comes and goes and isn't well trained. And so it's better for both people. And you can stay on campus, right? You don't have to drive to the memory care place like Cedar Creek or somewhere else that's a boutique place. It's on campus. So anything you want to add to the memory care portion of this, of why it's so much different than just regular care?
Yeah, I will tell you. One of my best friends' mom was in our memory support for almost 4 years. And again, we all want to, it's tough when we're going through something like that, with a loved one or ourselves. But you want the continuity of care. You want people who know you. It's a difficult situation to be in, but it can be beautiful. You can have a really lovely life with caring people who want to please you and want to meet your needs and want you to have a fantastic life. Our memory support residents, they go places, they have fun outings together, they have classes, they have gardening, they have great lives, the very best lives that they can. And these are things that are really difficult to replicate in the home. A community environment is really difficult to replicate in our homes. And it's so valuable to any of us in any stage of our lives. And when our cognition changes, if that happens, it's so valuable to have people around who care for you and who want the best for you and who are committed to making that happen for you.
Yeah.
And getting that in a campus is going to be much more likely than anything that we can set up for ourselves in our homes.
Yeah. All right, so we've kind of belabored this a little bit. When is it time to consider assistance? Really, when you start recovering from injuries or illnesses or hospitalization, you want to start planning for the red line. You don't want to cross the red line into assisted living because, again, like I said, your options are limited. You don't want to wait too long to decide because the all retirement communities that have independent living and assisted living want you to come in the independent living front door, the healthy front door, and you're going to stay there for 3 or 5 or 7 or 10 years, and you're going to transition into assisted living on the same campus. But if you were to wait too long and you were deemed you needed too much help with your ADLs, your activities of daily living, and you were deemed assisted, and you came and knocked on the side door, the assisted living side door, hey, sorry, I know you told me to do something sooner, and now I need to get in, they're going to say, well, we've got independent living people coming through the system, and if just by happen chance that maybe we have an opening, we'll let you know, but that it's very infrequent, and you never know, you can't count on it. And so you want to come in the all-inclusive resort and have a wonderful life and then transition into assisted living that you didn't wait too long, because if you wait too long, you're going to be paying those prices for the in-home care services. So you got to be like Kenny Rogers. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And we don't want you gambling on your health. And we don't want you gambling on your nest egg and your adventure that you could have a little bit differently than if you were to stay in your home. So here's some questions. You can take maybe a picture of this, or we'll send you the video. Here's some questions you might want to ask an in-home care company and ask at the retirement community, at the continuing care retirement community. I know all the answers are yes at a continuing care retirement community because they do their due diligence and they hire the right full service agents. But here's some questions you might want to ask them. So, what are the next steps? I think you really need to think about, do I really have that support network who are friends, family, neighbors, whatever, who are ready, willing, and able to support me? And ask them, is this in your future? Are you going to take care of me? Or do you even want to ask that question because you don't want to be a burden to anybody? And you're going to evaluate the pros and cons that we talked about. They're both good and both bad in both areas, but which are the better of the worst? So you're going to decide if you're going to stay, if you're going to go. You're going to go tour a retirement living community. You're going to get on that waiting list sooner or later, sooner than later, because why not be on 2 or 3 waiting lists, right? It's an insurance policy so that your name starts moving up the list. It's not like you have to take it once your name is called, but why not get on the list? It's effortless. I want you to be proactive. Don't wait too long. Let's talk about your plans. Erin and I have 50 years of experience. We don't care if you stay. We don't care if you go, as long as you're making these good decisions. Erin's full. She's got a 2 to 3 year waiting list. She's not going to try and sell you and get you on the get your name in there. And I'm not going to have you selling your home if that doesn't make sense for you. So we're harmless. We're just phone call away. So if you really are still on the fence and you don't know if you're going to stay or if you should go, just download this. It has all the exercises. You do it at home. It's like 10 pages. You print it on paper. Then we can get together if you want and we can talk about all of your plans. I've got 20 years in here. It's really hard to get it all out. But we can have a conversation, whether it's on the phone, at Starbucks, a Zoom call, at your home, whatever, and we'll just talk. Okay. And you can set an appointment right on my calendar. It's right there, stayergohomeowner.com. You'll be able to see my calendar, whatever day works for you. Just put a little meeting there and we'll get together and I will bring you the new, thanks to Sherry Koglowski, Siglowski or Koglowski? Siglowski.
Siglowski.
Siglowski. I want to dedicate this to Sherry Siglowski because this is like the starting of my book, and I'm going to write a book someday. And it was Sherry's idea. She said, you know what? Everyone needs to know how the whole thing works. And we have all these different webinars that talk about all these different steps, but I didn't encapsulate it into one document. This is 35 pages of every single thing you need to be doing before you get on the waiting list, once you're on the waiting list, once you place your deposit, and once you move in and move out and all of that. It's all here, and I'll bring that with us to our appointment and I'll leave it there with you. That's about it, really. I mean, we've got, come back in August for the breaking the paralysis of analysis. You might have paralysis of analysis until August, but if you do, give us a call. We also have recordings of all of these webinars that we've done in the past. And we do have some questions that I wanted to get to. So I kind of like this question here that I wanted to ask first. So Erin, this one's for you. It says, I love your campus and seriously have considered it, but since COVID and what has happened at several facilities, I have concerns about being in a group home and COVID continuing or continues. So tell them why it's actually better to be in a community than it is to be out there in the world.
Well, I can tell you, we are very fortunate. We did very well during COVID. You know, most nonprofit retirement communities, frankly, did very well during COVID. Um, Feel free to look that up. Google is your friend. You can Google all these things. The thing about being in a retirement community, you're kind of like for me as an employee, it was much safer for me to come into work every day here on this antiseptic, safe campus where everybody's following these amazing protocols to keep everybody safe. You weren't allowed to be a vendor on our campus unless you were fully vaccinated. So we didn't have people stepping foot onto our campus unless they were fully vaccinated. Now, my community where I live, the area of California, the town that I live in, can't guarantee me that. Safeway can't guarantee me that, but Saratoga Retirement Community could guarantee me that. So our residents, they weren't isolated in their homes. We were still allowed to do events. We were still allowed to have concerts. We just did it safely. We did it smartly. We still had so much fun during COVID and we kept people safe. Um, you know, good campuses manage things like this. You know, that's the benefit of frankly having a nonprofit campus. We don't have shareholders to pay. So nonprofit campuses can, when times get tough, hire more people to help make everything safe and healthy for everybody. So yeah, somebody's asking about our pricing. Our pricing is available on our website at all times. I'm happy to go over more COVID questions with anybody. If you want to give me a call, again, like Brian said, no pressure at all from us. We just want to help you. Wherever you land, we want to help you. So if I can help you with anything, call me. We'll go over pricing together. We'll go over any questions that you have. Um, just here to absolutely help you with this journey. There's a lot of pieces to think about. And we are here to just to help guide you in the best way that we can. I have a lot of knowledge that I've gathered over all these years, and I'm happy to share anything with you and help you to make these decisions for yourself.
So yeah, we're here for you. And the website address you're asking for, it's
Yeah.
retirement.org.
Retirement.org/Saratoga.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's it. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for being proactive. Erin, thanks for having me. It's
Thank
always
you.
wonderful.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much for your time. And if there's anything that we can do to help you, please call us. I love talking with you. I know, any of our team would love to speak with you. So we're only a phone call away.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.